Hello, everyone. Karen Glasser here,
And Mel Greenberg.
and welcome to Uncorked, life exposed in the most unexpected ways, where what you see is not always what you get. So, whether you're here live or on replay, make sure you say hi in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. Today, we are talking about the empty nest. I love this topic, and I know, Mel, you love this topic as well. So,
The big
let's
topic.
talk a little bit about it. Let's intro it.
Well, first of all, let's have a little cheers to our
Oh, my goodness,
start.
I forgot. We're
Yeah,
drinking.
it's Tuesday and we've got
It's Tuesday. Oops, here we go.
Yay!
Okay,
All
there we
right.
go.
What are you drinking this week?
Oh, I'm drinking Prosecco, La Marca Prosecco, and actually we have it in our kit. And what are you drinking? Because I know we have that in our kit as well.
I'm drinking the Christian Salmon Sancerre, and it's the Sauvignon Blanc of France, and I love it.
Love it.
It's a
Love it.
nice one. It's a really nice price point too. It's a good crisp, in the desert it's hot and it's a nice crisp, refreshing
It's
wine.
hot. How
I
can you
love
say
it.
that? Actually, we had thunderstorms yesterday, so it was.
Well, we've
wasn't
had
as
an incredible summer and we missed the monsoons are really my favorite time of year in the Arizona desert. And last year was pretty lackluster. This year made up for it. It's just been magnificent. So
Oh, it's so. And you just got back. You just got back from your trip, and
long trip, and it was every part was
everything you
like
wanted it to
4 or
be.
5 vacations in one, and it was just phenomenal. It was great interacting with people in such a different part of the country,
Right.
and even different there. Florida is a huge state, so
Right. Right.
different parts of the state very different. And I will share just really quickly the highlight. For me, it was a highlight of the trip was visiting the Turtle Hospital in Marathon Key,
There's
and
such a thing as a turtle
it's my
hospital. That's
thing,
very
and
cool.
it's the
Wow.
largest rescue in the country, and the work that they're doing there. And you can adopt a turtle. It's only $35 a month,
I love it.
and help them. And that was just my poor husband. I just drag him along on these adventures, and he was a trooper.
I love that. How fun is that? How fun
Yes.
is that? So we're talking about the emptiness, and I know you like to say, and I agree with you, it's not a cliche. So, how would you describe the emptiness? What does that mean?
I think that, and I was thinking about this before we were going to get together here today, and largely the dialogue is about women going through this because we are typically the main caregivers of
Right.
our children, and emotionally and financially, and what that means and what that looks like. But men go through it too, dramatically. And I really discovered that when doing the research for my book, Running with Our Eyes Closed, that culturally we really don't allow them to express themselves in the same way. So it's about kind of redefining. You've spent 18 years in
Right.
one go mode,
Right.
and rightfully so, raising your children,
Right.
getting good humans to put out into the universe,
Right.
and then just poof,
Poof.
you're gone. And when you get to that point where it's an empty house and it's just the two of you, or you're figuring out maybe you were a stay-at-home
Right.
parent and now you're going to go back into the workforce, and there's a lot of things
A
to
lot of
navigate.
layers.
Really,
A lot of layers. A lot of
yeah.
layers. So we
Yeah.
thought it would be fun, right, to do a Mel versus Karen on the empty nest, because as much as we are so alike, we are so different. And this is another case of the empty nest. So when you think open nest, empty nest, what do you think?
I think of just a change in everything, a different road. We've kind of come to a fork in the road, and the children are off happily so pursuing their dreams and the next stage of their lives. And it's kind of, when it happened to me, I sort of thought, well, I just lost my job of 25 or 20 years. And what do I do now? Who am I? And more importantly, who do I want to be?
Now, in your case, your kids, you had the emptiness, they moved out, but they came back.
Yeah, one moved back to Tucson, but not with us. And then at the onset of COVID, my oldest son, who works in the film industry and until this year lived in Hollywood,
Hmm.
and his then fiance came over to, just enjoy some time with family.
Right.
And Arizona and our small town was, a nice environment to be stuck, and rather than their small apartment. And they never left, and they came full time. And then the real estate market went berserk.
Right.
Unfortunately, we have a large home and plenty of room, and we're all happily nesting together. And there's, there are things to navigate, but it's a good circumstance. But it's
Right.
different. It's not quite what I expected. My husband and I kind of joke that, we're leaving a lot. So it's like they're at home going, yay, the parents are gone. They're the ones stuck at home now in their lives, building their careers and raising their family.
And you just had a grandchild, and so it's not. So what is it like having Matthew and Heather, your kids, and the baby? Everybody's like there. What is that like?
Well, I don't really know yet because literally they just had the baby. So
Right. Right.
it's an evolution. Again, I think at the bottom of it all, we have a deep respect for each other and each other's boundaries. And that's really important. And I think a lot of children are coming home, and kids that just went off to college. They
Right.
didn't even get to enjoy their freshman year because they had to come home and learn from home. So to speak to those families as well, it's important that you establish boundaries and respect. And
Right.
I mean, for me, I think it's now and thankfully it's been a slow
Right.
upgrade that we are approaching each other as adults, not
Right.
parent child.
Right.
I'll always be their parent, obviously,
Right.
but their mother. But the other side of that is we are adults, and it's respecting that, my oldest son is he just turned 29. So you've got a 30-year-old, not a kid.
Right.
And so it's not, pick up after yourself, do these things. You let them live their lives. And so far it's been, I'm going to knock on, knock behind me, knock on wood, that it's been a pretty seamless
Right.
shift. But I do joke because I built this whole next stage of my life on being an empty nester. I'm like, you guys are killing my brand.
I know, killing the brand. And your other son doesn't live in the house, but he's close to you as well.
Yeah, he's in Tucson, and we see, and I got to tell you, we have family dinners, at least once a week.
I love that. I totally love that.
Everything. That's wonderful. It's we have a close family.
Right.
But yet, but I think that it stays close because we really are deeply respectful of each other's space. I don't assume anything. I don't assert. I try and step back. And I'll give my example of that is that Heather's family, Matthew's wife's family, is here.
Right.
They don't live here. So them spending time with their grandchild is equally as important as me spending time, but I'm here. So I keep stepping back and enjoying stepping back and letting them, have their space and time with everything.
So I'm totally different. I mean, when my son graduated high school, I was delighted that he moved out. We literally moved. We moved the weekend after he moved out.
Did you give him a forwarding address?
We did give him a forwarding address.
Nice.
I know. When I say that, I actually laugh because he really wanted to go have dorm life and he wanted to do all that. I was like, okay. But we had already bought a house. And so we moved that weekend. He graduated on a Friday. We moved in on a Saturday. And so he's been gone ever since then. He's going to be 36 this next month. And he just got married. He just moved here to the desert with his bride. And so I love having them close by, but not too close. I'm not sure I could handle them being underfoot all the time. And it's not that I don't love them. I do. I totally love them. And my oldest son just moved back from the East Coast, and he lives in San Diego, about a couple of hours away. And he's come to visit as well, and he stays here for a couple of days, and then he goes home. And so it's interesting, and I don't know exactly where this comes from because I love kids. I've worked with kids all my life. I taught kids. I sang for kids.
Different with yours, yeah.
Right, but it was like. Yeah, right. It wasn't mine. I could always give them back to parents.
Grandchildren.
Exactly. But I kind of felt like my job was done.
Mhm.
I raised good humans, as you said, and sent them on their merry way. But I'm really thrilled that they do live close by. So when I need my Phil, when I need my touch of
Yeah,
Robert or Matthew, I'm able to get that.
yeah.
But we are more than our kids. We are more
We
than our
are.
kids, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
know, I know you agree with that, and I
And
know it
it's
was
important
tricky
to
for you,
remember that. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And in fact, with them living at home, I've made it very clear I'm not their built-in babysitter
Right,
because I work from home, I work at home,
right,
and that, that and they're of clear understanding with that. And back to kind of just quickly on what you were saying, I will be happy when they move out, but with everything again was a perfect storm as much of this whole
right,
role has been the past couple of
right,
years. The real estate market went crazy, so it's overpriced,
right.
under inventoried, and so the timing is, we're grateful to be able to provide them an opportunity to
Exactly.
wait and take advantage of that when it's better.
Exactly. And
But I do want them to move. I want them to have
you,
their own home.
but not too far away, right? Because you do
Exactly.
want them close by.
Yeah.
I know you said it was tricky for you because you at that point when the empty nest happened, you were a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
What happened? I mean, like all of a sudden your job,
Everything. You really kind of question, and I do think that women, and men, in the workplace question it too. It's like,
right,
now what? Because even if you're home, it's obvious you have a vacuous hole,
right,
and you have some things to figure out. And if you were working, you still have there are logistics that change in your life, and then I do have friends that then question, should I have stayed at home? Did I make the right
right,
choices? Because now all I have is my work, and I could have had
right.
both. And I think it's, we juggle a lot of balls, and it's hard not to hit ourselves in the head with them. It was I struggled to figure out what I wanted to do next, and I
Right.
think that returning to what I had always known and loved, which was writing, was my saving grace, and
Right.
it was the support of my husband, and we went through changes as a couple and got to a
Mhm.
point, and I think that's a big thing too. It's about not more, it's less about getting back, like, oh, we have to be who we were
Right.
all
No.
along. I'm certainly not the person I was
Right.
when I was 30 years old and got married,
No.
nor
Exactly.
is he. So you connect on who you are now, and it's almost like if you
I
can
agree.
embrace that and start a new relationship with each other,
It's fun,
once you
right?
make it through everything else, it's awesome. Yeah. Not
It
not
is.
without its struggles, but then like anything else, when you get to the other side of the light, it's pretty special.
And I wasn't a stay-at-home mom. I have worked all my life by choice.
Hmm.
And I traveled a lot and was always on the road. And in many respects, I think my husband was, even though he also, worked outside of the house, he ended up being mom and dad sometimes because I was always
Always
traveling
have,
to do a
yeah.
show here or a show there. And I did have those thoughts at times. Maybe, I should change my focus because your kids are only with you a certain amount of time. But I think what my work really made me who I was. And if I had stopped doing that, I don't know what kind of mom I would have been. So I think we do obviously what
Yeah.
works for us, and I just continue to look for new opportunities. So as I move forward, all these open opportunities opened up, and I don't think I had the same amount of guilt anymore because the kids weren't there,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Do you find yourself drawn back to what you knew before, or the new opportunities that are presenting themselves completely different?
Completely. Well, I think they build. I don't know if they're completely different
Okay.
because I have stayed in my arena of doing what I do, shows and being on the stage and that kind of stuff, and it's just kind of evolved into a live kind of setting that
Mhm.
we do these kind of shows. And you mentioned about our partners and how that changed. So I think I'll go first on this one because my husband and we were workaholics, totally workaholics. And when we did move to that new place after the kid moved out, all we did was work harder. We did not work on our relationship. We just worked harder.
Okay.
And um, as that evolved, he ended up moving up north to take a bigger and better job up north, and I stayed at home because my job, my cantorial job, was still here, and I had a contract. And
Right.
it was interesting what I went through during that time because we only saw each other on the weekends. And
Mhm.
this went for 2 years. In the beginning, I remember saying, "I don't know how I'm going to do this. How do people have a long distance relationship?" And then it was like, this isn't so bad, because I was looking at, like, well, you know what? I can do all these things and he's not there. And then all of a sudden it was, oh God, he's coming home. And at that point I realized that we weren't in a good place. And this was already 7 years into, our youngest moving out. And so I moved up north and promptly got divorced. So it was interesting because we didn't do what I know now we should have done then. But no fear. Heart does make the distance
Yeah.
does make the heart grow
Yeah.
fonder. And in fact, we got back together. We remarried each other, and we're going strong.
Yeah.
But we work every day
Yeah.
on our relationship, because I know what we did wrong then.
Yeah.
It led
And I
us to
think that
divorce.
that's really true. And I think that and we went through not the divorce part, but the struggle. And you make a choice. You're like, okay, wait, we are here. We've done this together. Neither one of us are perfect.
Mhm.
There are things we need to do differently. Are we willing to, first of all? And
Right.
then what are we willing to do? And we do the same thing. And I think the biggest change has been really open communication, and it goes back to even with the kids, like saying, like, respecting, like, the vulnerability, and hearing each other, and also, and like, now we laugh because we're not 30, and when you're 60 and he's 64, um you don't hear as well, you get tired more quickly, so if you can make light of it and have fun with life and where you are now and enjoy that, it's just so much more fun. And again, like you did, you made a choice, and
Right.
it's
You
always
can't
easy
go
to pick up.
backwards.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't.
and it's easy to pick up a shiny new penny, but
Right.
maybe the tarnished one, the colors, the vibrance comes through in them if you really turn
Right.
it and hold it against the sun, and it's pretty special.
Exactly. And you like to say that there are three parties in a marriage: the mother, the
Hmm.
father, and the
Yeah,
child, right?
yeah,
And
yeah, it's true.
you literally created a book. You actually followed this dream, and you wrote a book, award winning book. It's it's a bestseller, and it's in the kit, guys. So tell us a little bit about the book and how you basically took your story. It's not your story, I understand, but
Yeah.
the story of Empty Nest, and created this
The
book.
characters. It was really born through the struggle of becoming an empty nester, and the couple, the characters evolved and kind of grew and developed their own way, and talking and interviewing so many people and couples, those of whom worked through it and stayed together, others got divorced. Why? Interviewing separately females and their journey, and men. And that, again, was the most intriguing aspect for me, because I think our culture really focuses on the narrative for women
Hmm.
and appreciating what they go through and the changes and yada yada, but men go through it. Fathers who are part of their children's lives suffer a loss and they're
Right.
not allowed to process it in the same way publicly, I don't think. And I think, as a mother of two boys, I do take issue with that. We have to honor
Right.
our boys, and let them express their feelings and understand and share and those losses. So through that, it was kind of fun to create characters. And then I was always in news, so writing fiction was a bit different, and it was fun
Right.
to be able, like, oh, I can make them do anything and be anyone they want to be. And Samantha's character was what really resonated, and it turned it from a trilogy, which is how I had originally conceived the project, to a series, because her continual growth is what is so inspiring and intriguing, because she's deeply flawed, as we all are. We're all just trying to figure it out. At
Right.
the end of
Right.
the day, nobody has the answers, and nobody's
Okay.
holding all the cards, and it's, you just have to throw them up and figure out, where they land and what to do next. And she kind of owns that. And I think that honestly is what resonated with her. And that's what keeps me in invested in the story because she's growing, and until she's not growing, then it'll be done. But
And
she's
that leads us into what's next. I mean, that really does lead us into what's next. So you're in the midst of a new book, right? You're working on the newest book. So I have to ask, I mean, is it going to incorporate the fact that the kids came home, or you're not going to put that piece in, or it's Samantha's growth?
It's Samantha's story, and she's a very, I mean, obviously there's always pieces of you in what you write,
Right.
but she's got a very different situation. And however, it is current. So the world at large
Right.
is impacted, and it is there. And I actually held off and rewrote a great deal of it because it just, her timeline, and when we pick up and catch up with her, was such that it needed to be addressed. It would have just been completely disingenuous to ignore what was happening in our world.
Well, and I totally appreciate that. I'm excited. So, do we have a date when the book is coming out?
No, not
Nope.
yet. Soon.
Okay.
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 Yeah.
So, it's been almost 20 years since my youngest moved out. Not quite, but almost. And as I said, a lot of opportunities opened up. But one of the biggest things that's changed in these past years is that I've gotten much more in tune with myself, and in terms of what makes my heart sing, rather than what the expectation is from the outside.
And what steps have you taken? Like because we can all say that we're doing it, but I love hearing, and I think other people would love hearing, how have you done that for yourself? How's that?
I've learned how to say no. And it's so interesting that little word, those two letters, NO, can change your life. I tended to be the one always that a new opportunity would come and I go, yes. And I would jump in and then go, oh my God, I don't even know why I jumped into this.
Right.
And it continued, and I never learned my lesson in all of those years. And this past year, I had to really take a step back and look inside of me and say, okay, it goes through the filter at this point. Does that make me happy if I say yes, or does it give me a stomach ache, or any of that kind of thing? It's almost a body feel. And I learned how to say no. And so where I've been, again, both of us are very fortunate. We have a lot of opportunities out there. We have the ability to say yes to a lot of things. And I've learned how to say no. And so, for me, what's next? As I said no, but I am launching 2 new shows.
So I'm so glad you brought that up. I was going to. This is so exciting, everybody. Listen up. Tell us.
One of the shows is called The Peak Stage, which is all about this time frame, that we don't just all of a sudden get to a certain age and die, or we retire and we go whoosh and it goes down. We keep reaching those peak stages.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking to people that have made that have stories to tell, and because it's all about the stories, right? It's all about the stories.
Everyone has.
I'm so excited about this show. It's connected with a company, and you introduced me to these people, and I forever thank you for this. The company's called Vital C, and it's just reaching your potential, your peak stage in life, and doing that. So that's really exciting to me, and that's just getting ready to launch right now. And I'm doing a business show. Which I'm really excited about that as well. It's actually a show that I did back in 2012 when I was saying yes to everything, and then said, no, I can't do that anymore. But now that I'm looking very specifically at what do I want to do, this is an exciting show, and I have 2 other partners. That's the other thing. I'm working with partners. And you and I have partnered up on this show, and that helps make my heart sing, because I think what happens is if we feel alone, and we feel like it's only us, and it doesn't do good for your psyche. At least for me, it doesn't do good for my psyche. So for me, I'm partnering up with people and just loving the collaboration and loving everything about that. And that makes my heart sing. So that's the second thing. I think find somebody that does what you do.
I think that you said something that I really want to touch on, that you learned how to say no. And I think especially women, we don't say no. we say, we want to be there for everybody. We want to be available and help and nurture and everything. So on one hand, we must learn to say no. And I'm right there with you, because finally I can say no. I can clear space around me. I can move people who are not positive in my life around, and or ventures, anything. I don't have to be part of everything or friends with everyone. It's okay. But the other side of that, the balance, the yin and the yang, is the yes. And being yes, and at this stage in our life, we can say yes to so many incredible, and be open to what's out there and the
Right.
possibilities, and that's a yes. So it's kind of
Yeah.
learning how to balance
To
those,
balance
the
it.
yes and the no.
Totally,
Yeah,
totally. And again, because I've said no, it's opened up space in my life, which allows me to say yes to the other things.
right.
And as again, last year was wow. What can I
Pivotal
last
for everybody. I
for
mean,
everybody?
yes.
For
Yeah.
everybody, I don't think any of us are alone in saying this. From a
No.
mental health perspective, from a physical health perspective, from
Mhm.
all sorts of things. Last year was I'd like to kick that year to the curb. I
To the
mean,
curb. Yeah.
but it is what it is, but it
Well, it
forced
brought so
me.
many silver linings, really, if you peel
Yeah,
it back. I mean, so much good has come out of it because
absolutely.
of how we're, things that we're becoming aware of, and how we're, I think, maybe more personal than
Right.
culturally, but it's a good thing.
Absolutely. We've been asked already from people that are watching the shows, how can they follow us? We both can be found on Instagram at Karen Glasser and at Mel G. Berg. We can also both be found on Twitter at Karen Glasser and at Greenberg_Mel. And whether you're watching the show on YouTube or on Facebook or on Roku or on Amazon Live, we're all over
We're
the
everywhere.
we're
They can't get
everywhere.
rid of us.
We're everywhere. But if you want to just follow us on Facebook, just go check out my Facebook page, Karen Glasser Live, because the shows actually air there first, as well as on YouTube. So if you're impatient and want to watch it right away, go ahead over there and watch the shows over there, because it will take us, a second to upload it over to Roku and Amazon Live. But that's fun. I love having the shows there because you can sit on your couch and
Yeah,
watch the
on the big
shows.
on the big screen.
Absolutely. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love to hear about
Yep.
topics that you want us to cover, right? We're doing things right now that we know are at least they speak to us. And we have a great show coming up in September. We're not
So
going to, I'm
excited for
so excited
September.
about
Oh
that
my
one.
gosh.
We're even talking, we might be in the same room for this one. That would be
So
awesome if we can get that going. I would love to do that. But again, don't forget to check out the kit that we put together. It has Mel's book in it. It has some games, adult games that you can play with your significant others, your partners, as this empty nest rolls out. It has some really great. We have the prosecco in there. We have the wine in there. We have wine glasses and outdoor stuff so that you can drink outdoors by the pool or wherever you're drinking.
on your boat.
On a boat or on a that sounds like a Dr. Seuss, on a boat or on a right. So go check this out. It's bit.ly /uncork live. That's all caps. Go check it out. We're constantly adding new things to it. And again, we'd love to hear from you. Mel, any last minute thoughts to our audience?
I again would love to hear from you, and you can reach both of us through our platforms privately, if to further this conversation, because this is,
Right.
we kind of talk to all of us going through these different stages, and there's so much else happening out there right now. And you spoke about mental health, and I just think you need to know that no one's alone, and that we're all out here for you. And if there's any way we can help or talk or
Right. Exactly.
connect, we'll love to do that. Just stay positive and
Absolutely.
balance. A little yes, a little no, a little wine. You're good.
A little wine. Wait, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, because the show is called Uncorked after all. I want to thank everyone for joining us. You have a choice as to where you spend your time, and you chose to spend it with us today. And we are eternally grateful. So go out, give somebody an awesome day, and we'll see you on the next episode of Uncorked. See you later, everyone.
Ciao.